Is we have the ICFJ fellows in the house. That is the fellows from the International Center for Journalists based in Washington. And we have our fellows working in different countries. So basically, we are just hosting a workshop on expanding the audience for fact-checking. I have Matt. Matt is a fellow in the US, so he's going to tell us how he has been working with TV station and radio stations to expand the audience for fact-checking. And also I have Astu. Astu is from Indonesia, and she has been doing a lot on Instagram because there is a lot of migration of people from Facebook to Instagram in Indonesia. So basically, we are just going to walk you through the method and the strategies that we apply in expanding the audience for fact-check and making fact-check go viral as in accordance with the core mission of our fellowship. So I'd like to invite Matt so we can start and see what we have. Thank you.
Hey everybody, my name is Matt Riley. I work in North Carolina with PolitiFact North Carolina, and I'm going to talk today a little bit about some of the projects I've been doing to expand fact-checking at the local level, which I don't think we've heard very much about. So I'm going to ask you all a very obvious question. What is one quick way for hundreds of thousands of new people to engage with your fact-checking? Well, it's easy. You work with local radio and TV outlets. I mean, the truth is today, we need help as fact-checkers. We need to collaborate. We need help from other outlets because today, fact-checking isn't going fast or far enough. Recent research through Duke University has shown that misinformation spreads faster and farther than the truth. Even the truth, when we make some of the greatest fact checks in the world, it doesn't go far or fast enough. So I'll talk to you a little bit about my experience in North Carolina. At PolitiFact North Carolina, we know to reach about a few thousand people for every fact check. We're doing great work. We're fact checking the legislature, and there's just not that much transparency in North Carolina, so the work we do really matters, but we're not reaching the people we want. There's several million people in North Carolina, and 5,000 people just isn't good enough. So when I started my fellowship, instead of investing all my time into trying to build a local or regional following on social media, I decided I wanted to build strategic partnerships with outlets who already had the reach and the speed that I wanted. When I was thinking about this, I started to do some research, and it turns out that in the US, local TV and local radio, when you take both together, they reach further and farther than online-only sites and social media taken together. In addition, almost half of Americans get their news through TV still, and 26% consume through radio. But there's another advantage to working with local TV and radio that I don't think many people know about. Research out of Poynter shows that 76% of Americans trust local TV sources compared to 65% overall. 76% trust local TV sources and only 49%, I believe, trust cable TV. So there's a real value in working with local television and local radio that you don't get when you're working at the national level. In addition, when it comes to radio, audiences in an iHeartRadio industry study trust TV 81%, they trust local radio 81% more than television, and twice as much as social media. So, what do I do with all this information? Well, the first step is I came up with a list of every potential news partner in my state that I can work with. Thankfully, the Duke Reporters Lab already had a pretty complete list. I just had to add a few other organizations to that. And these are some of the partners that I've been working with. Step two, I decided to strategically pick who I worked with. What you're seeing up here are coverage maps for local radio stations. And I know it looks a little bit scary. All I'm saying is that you have to know where your content is going when you're working with local radio and TV. You don't want to have all your stations in one city and only reaching a fifth of the state, say. So I looked at these maps, determined which stations I wanted to work with so that I was covering as much of the state as I possibly could. In step three, it was very simple. You just cultivate relationships with these news directors. I went to their stations, I met their staff, I met with them several times, and I actively kept them in the loop by creating a newsletter to every single outlet in North Carolina. Even the small one-person shops in the middle of nowhere, I made sure to add them to the list too, so if they wanted to, they could use our free fact checks. In addition, I set up weekly appearances and spots with our fact checker so that it was just a regular part of the news cycle, so that regular people on their way to work heard our fact checks. And lastly, I reiterated to our news director partners how they can provide feedback on what we were doing, as well as request fact checks that they wanted done. And the result is pretty telling. Our fact checks now reach an additional 300,000 people in North Carolina every single week. This covers a third of the state of North Carolina. Our television fact checks also reach several hundred thousand additional people in the Triangle area. These are people that had no idea we were doing fact checking. We've been doing this for, I think, 2 months now, so we've reached well over 1 million people that we wouldn't have reached unless we had thought to do this. Before I go and hand the microphone off to my other TruthBuzz fellows, I wanted to talk about the few other media partnerships. This is just one thing I've done. I think partnering with local print outlets is very important. Print is still extremely trusted at the local level, at least in the US. And I think working with secondary language outlets is very important so that we can include other communities who may not speak English as a first language. I don't think anybody should not be able to get fact checking because they don't speak a certain language. And in addition, I think creating these shareable social media videos, which Hannah will talk a little bit more about, is another ingredient that we can use to fight misinformation. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Astudestra, and I'm from Indonesia. As a part of the fellowship, I work with a newsroom called Tempo, and I work on several projects with Tempo. I do social media. I also make newsletters, but this time I'm going to focus on the work that I do in the social media, especially Instagram, because a lot of younger people in Indonesia right now are shifting platforms in social media. They used to do Facebook, they used to do Twitter, but now a lot of younger people go to Instagram and they consume their news from Instagram. So what I discovered the difference between these platforms, in Twitter, you can do, it's a platform that you can do outreach. You can inform people, you can create discussion, driving conversation, push content. But on Instagram, it's a branding platform for me. It serves the purpose of building brand image and driving engagement with the audience because if you remember, Ika, my fellow from Indonesia, the newsroom that I work with actually, said that fact-checking is fairly new to Indonesian people. They don't really understand that that is a journalism product. So when I create this Instagram platform, this Instagram account, I want it to be like introducing our fact-checking teams and create a branding. What I do before I do the fellowship, I worked as a journalist, and I don't really taking care of social medias for my newsroom, so I don't really know what to do at first. So what I did was I called a friend who was working at marketing digital agency, and I want to know what's the theory behind all of these brands that are doing their marketing and promotion in Instagram. And then she informed me a lot of stuff that is, of course, pretty boring for journalists because we don't really care about marketing and promotions content. I don't, well, actually. She gave me some guidelines on what to create when you're making an Instagram account. So the first is a framework. And it's easy for me because this fellowship is a 9-month long fellowship. And at the first time, of course, because I'm doing this from scratch, like 0 followers, I'm doing an engagement process, awareness process. And then after that, I'll go to the engagement period. And we have an election in Indonesia a few months ago. Actually, this framework helped me a lot because you can customize it to your own needs. So for example, for the election, you can make this kind of framework. When the election is over, you can make another framework, like focusing on what are the activities that you want to do in Instagram. And then next is creating a content pillar. This is, actually it's kind of like doing editorial content planning. So basically, I just list what are the content that I want to present in the Instagram account. First, of course, debunking, and then verification, because we also do live fact-checking in the presidential debates. And then the third one is doing an activity. Of course, Instagram has a lot of cool features that I also use. We can put like trivia in the Instagram stories, and then just put some fun facts and our own insights about election, and even media literacy, like how would you do a Google reverse image. I made a short video and posted on Instagram, and there's great response for that. Another important point in social media management is, of course, making hashtags. Basically, there are two kinds of hashtags. The first one is a primary or a branding hashtag. It's the one hashtag that will help the audience know your brand immediately when it appears on the social media. In this case, I'm using ketahui faktanya in Indonesian language. In English, it means know the fact, just as simple as that. And another one accompanying that primary hashtag is the campaign hashtag that I use for different contents. For example, the second hashtag with the orange color, Cek Fakta Pilpres 2019, that is fact-checking election 2019. That hashtag is used for contents related to election. It makes it very easy for people to search for your content, especially because I found out that a lot of Instagram users are accessing the content through the Explore tabs. So hashtag is very important. And then the other thing is, in Instagram, you have to be very careful with your visual. So I created a visual guidelines. It's basically just to make the overall look of the account look visually beautiful. You can adjust it to your brand. And yeah, well, I'm not a graphic designer. I don't know how to make a sophisticated videos, or I do Photoshop a little bit, but not that much. I made all of this content all by myself. I use a lot of easy software like Canva or Lumen 5 that Hannah will be talking about. So this is something that everybody can do. Okay, so one thing from me before I hand it out to Hannah is that when I do this fellowship, I also receive basic trainings on misinformation and disinformation. And it really helped me a lot, even though I'm not a fact checker, but I understand what it means, how the fact checking works, how they, how to answer to people's question. Because being an audience engagement people, you have to be ready for your audience to DM you, asking questions. And as the administrator of the social media, you have to be able to answer to them, inform them, and it's really helped us a lot that we know also about misinformation or disinformation issues.
My name is Anna, and I'm the TruthBuzz Fellow from Nigeria. So I'll just talk about expanding audiences using Lumen 5. So earlier I spoke about videos, and like we've heard from some of the discussions today about how video is the future of communicating information and reaching wider audiences. So the basic thing with Lumen 5 is that it is easy to use. Like, you don't need to have a prior knowledge of video editing, or you don't need to be a video editor. So once you can just log into the website, www.lumen5.com, you open an account, you just start up with your story, and it's quite easy. So it's social media video made easy, like the 1-minute videos. You could easily do it in a few seconds. And the basic features, like, it's created as a video platform designed for brands and businesses, but I think journalists too can key into it and use it to drive audience engagement on their site. And usually you could start with the link of the article, or you could start with a document that you have on your laptop and pop it into the site, and you see how it's developed with using artificial intelligence. So I'll just like to just give a short demonstration to show how it's done. Please, can I get the technical guide down here? Okay. You have video? No, I just want to show something. Okay, so this is my dashboard. I have an account with Lumen 5. It's a paid account, but you can also access it for free. There is a free account, and you have access to videos that you can do. So this is like my dashboard. And once I want to create a video, I just come to this place where you have this create a video, and I click. So the basic thing is that it uses a lot of internet data. Okay. So now you have the option to choose a format. Like we said earlier, if you are doing social media videos, you know that a lot of people would be accessing your video using their mobile phone. So you have different formats. If you are putting it on Facebook, you're putting it on Instagram or Twitter, also for Instagram story or for Facebook story. So basically, I just start with the Facebook format. So here you can start with a link or start with some text. Let's say you have a text, you already have your script. You can just copy it from your computer and just put it here. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start with a link. So I'll come here and copy this link. Like, this is an article. This is a fact check published by Africa Check. So I'll come back to my dashboard and just paste the link, and here we go. So you can choose a theme. It brings you to this place where you have to choose a theme, and you have several themes that you can choose depending on the colors of your brand, like the colors of your organization. So usually what I do with Africa Check is we usually use this theme. And here you are, like, so talking about, like, you can read here, it says, our AI unpicks sentences for you. Does the story flow well? So once you put in your saying, once you put in your link or you put in your document, it's automatically generates some scenes for you. So if you want to keep this and keep working on it, you can keep it. But if you want to manually select what you want to appear yourself, you can just discard it. So I'm just going to discard it. So because the color of Africa Check, we work with a lot of orange color. So I'll come to where you have the style, and I'm going to change this yellow color to this orange color, so the color sort of rhyme. So I pick the color of the highlights that I want, and if I want the color to be like the kind of variation that I want, I can come here and just, you can see it's, yeah, so it works. So one other thing, when you're on the dashboard, like I said, it is easy to use, like it is self-instructive, like you can get instruction once you are using it. So you come to where you have your story. From here, this is where you have your storyboard, and you can click on the text that you want to create a scene with. So from here, I just want to change my headline. You know, it's a video story, and I would want the headline to be so short. So I clicked on this, and I have a scene here. So what I'm going to do is I'll move this forward because I want it to be the first scene, like to be the title of the video that I want to create. So I press this, I bring it forward. If I want to take it downward, I click on this and it's down. So I'll just bring it forward and change the title of the video. Okay, this can work because it's short. So vitamin C does not come from the deep sea. So I would like to change this image because this image does not truly reflect what I want. So I'll come to where you have this side where you have media. Media is where you have, you have your library. Here you can use free pictures. You have a lot of pictures that you can pick from. You have the free library. You have the GIF. Let's say if you want to use GIF for your video, you can select anyone. And you have this marketplace because I am a premium user, like I subscribe. So I can have access to some images by Getty and some other premium photography providers. But if you are using a free version, you can always get your pictures from the library. And if I have pictures in mind that I want to use, I'll just come to upload. So I come here and I click on upload and I upload what I want to use. As you can see through my upload folder, I have some things that I've already uploaded. Those are the stamp verdicts for the fact check that we do. So I'll come here and let's just use the free library. So let's see if we can get a better picture for this. So once I select, you have pictures here. So vitamin C, does this really communicate what I want the first picture to look like? Because of time, we'll just rush through. So I have a picture here. I'll just drag it. And bring it here. Okay, so that is how you can drag your picture and bring it into any of the scene. And if you're not comfortable with any picture, maybe you want to change them, you could also, it's just the same process. Select a picture you want to use, just bring it over. And there you have it. So because this is a title scene, I don't need this sub scene. So I'll just delete. Okay, and another thing you can do is with this angle, you can preview what the scene would look like. And I come here, it shows the option of text, but this is the first scene in my storyboard. So it's actually a title text. So I'll make it a title text so that way it is bigger and it pops up. Or it could be like a quote. Or in another instance, if you are not using any text, because the beauty with this tool is, let's say you have photographs that you want to use to create a story, and you are not using any text, you just put no text, and the only thing you have is you have your picture, and it just flows. So this is the title text, and so what I would like to do now is just to show you how to do the highlights. Oh, so because I already chose like a no text, I have to just type in the title of the text again. So I'll come to my media story and just type manually. Okay. So now I want to highlight some text, like to call attention to those texts. So what I'll just do is to click. So when you click here, you have this, which asks if you want to highlight or the text position or the text size, or if you want to add another substance. So I'll just click on what I want to highlight here. So let's say it's vitamin C. And I just click. So that is how to use the highlight feature. And if you don't want it, if you want to just take it away, you just come here and clear the highlight and it's off. So because I have this created from, like I uploaded a link and the AI automatically selected the text. So I can come to the next one and just delete this and just click on another one, so that my story follows like a sequence. So now you have this particular frame, and you can see that already it's choked. Like you have a lot of text, and it does not look very interesting. So I can just create a sub-scene, like a smaller scene, so that I just break up the sentence. So I'll do that on my Mac with just, so usually I click on the Shift key and the Command and enter, and it works. So another interesting thing with this tool is that you can import videos. You can import videos from your library and add it to the text. So I'll go back to my media where you have the pictures and everything. I'll go to my upload because I already uploaded a video. You know, this was like something we debunked. You know, it was, you saw the video during, if you were here during the session on health misinformation. So I downloaded this video from Facebook because that was what the source of the misinformation was about. And I uploaded it here. So I'll just drag the video because I want the video to play in my report. Wow, time is fast spent. So here you have the video, and it's, so this is a preview of what it looks like when you're finally done with whatever you want to do. Okay, so since this is just a demonstration, like you can put a video, and let's see if I still want to highlight any text. So I just come here and I click, come here and do the same. So I'll just go to the conclusion of the report so that we can just have time if you have questions or anything. Okay. So I'm looking through my storyboard. Okay, this is another scene. And so now I'll just come to let me just go to the conclusion and show you how, once you are done, how you can render your video. So this is not like a regular story. This is just a demonstration. I know this picture does not really work with what I want, so I can still come back to media and change it. Look for vitamin C. And just put this. Okay. So, and one other thing that I would like us to know is you can determine, you have the time. This is where you have, you know, the duration for your video. So you can make it, from here you can determine if you want it to be very fast, or you want it to be slow, or you want it to be, I mean, you want it to be normal, or you want it to be slow. Usually I start with slow, then later I can just come and reduce the scene, because you believe if you're pushing it out, people should be able to read what you have here. So if you have your video set to slow, or if it is set to fast, you can work on the duration, on the timing of each scene. So once you come here and it shows you the timing, you can see it is 14 seconds. So I can increase it, make it 15, because this particular video that I uploaded is actually like 23 seconds. So I can increase it or come here and decrease it. And when it comes to picture, you still have more options. So I could work on the brightness of this picture, or reduce it, or just trim or crop the picture. And a lot of options. So, and That is the basic thing. And you have a music library whereby you have a lot of songs that you can, a lot of music files that you can select to go along with your video. So once you just want to listen to any sound, you can click on this to have a feel if you think it works for you, and you make your selection here. So that is the basic thing. And once you are done with your video, okay, before doing the final publication, you can do a preview, just look at how it is, and if you're not okay with it, you go back to editing. You go back to editing your video, and once you are done with your video, you just click on publish. It's always advisable to download it. Click on the download so that you can see it before uploading to Facebook. So once you click on download, it goes to the dashboard, and it takes some time to download depending on the duration and the length of your video. So now you have like 3 minutes remaining, so we can't wait for that. So that is the basic step in doing the video. So you can just try it, and let's see where it leads you to. So thank you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hannah. So we have some time left for some questions, Q&As, and everything we want to talk about. Anyone wanting to ask something to one of the three speakers? Come on. Hey. Huh? Okay, so I have one. When you started doing your social media planning, they didn't have anything at Temple, right? They started from zero. This is exactly what's going on right now for the IFCN in the Instagram. I'm doing that. So how different is it? Because you gave, I don't know how many of you are opening social media accounts right now? Is there anyone? 1, 2, okay. And 3, okay. How many of you are like newcomers in social media? I mean, in the company, you are not big enough, and you would like to hear that question, that interested. Okay, so let's be fast on that. What would be the difference? And because you suggested something big, and I understand that it's different from one social media to the other, right? So can you give me like best practice very fast and very quickly for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram? So we have 3 people trying to approaching, like they're starting now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, like I have tried all of the platforms, but the one that I want to focus is actually Instagram, because a lot of the migration and everything. And Tempo is also one of the Facebook partner for third-party fact checkers. So Facebook, I figured it already tackled with that partnership. And then I feel like having tried all of these platforms, Instagram has become a platform that's quite neutral, because the filter bubble is not really that obvious in Instagram. You don't have groups, you don't have like lists like in Twitter. You don't see like when someone you follow liking something, it appears in a timeline, because Twitter does, right? And it really creates this filter bubble or echo chamber or whatever. But in Instagram, it's relatively more easy for me to enter as someone who provides a neutral content. So I can approach to, if we're talking about the election, I can approach to people who support the government and people who support the opposition. So it's quite neutral. So everyone is exposed like the same rate. So that's one of the advantage in Instagram, I figured. I started
practices. What should you do and what shouldn't you do if you're starting an Instagram account right now?
What you shouldn't do is making long captions and really bad visual, because it will not be appealing for people, especially if you're targeting younger people. There are a lot of software that you can use to create like pretty Instagram stories, and you should use it. And what you should do is, of course, just create something that will directly attract the audience. Like, for example, fact checking says always have conclusion like right or wrong or whatever. So just put it in your picture, like big text. So when people find your content in the explore button, it will directly lead them to push and go to your account and like and see your whole account appearance. If it looks pretty, then people would be inclined to follow. So I started Instagram on December, and it's like 5 to 6 months now. I already have 11,000 followers, which is, I think, I'm very satisfied with that. And yeah, that's the advice.
Yeah, sure.
What generates greater interest, an Instagram post or an Instagram story?
Can you go again? Yeah, in the mic.
All right. What generates greater interest, an Instagram post or a story?
Okay, so a story, I think is really, really effective because Instagram, people cannot go directly to your page by clicking a link, right? You have to put the link in the bio, which is not very effective. So story, once you hit 10,000 followers, actually you can swipe up, and it's great for the traffic. And stories also, Instagram have a lot of cool features where you can engage audience more, like pollings, or you can do like different kind of things with I can't really think about one right now because it have to like visually explain it to you. But I suggest that you use all of the features that Instagram has, because usually younger people, when there's new feature come up, like they're using it, and we have to use it also just to be, to make them feel like we are following the trend, that we are also, like, we know what we do in the platform.
So since we're talking about Instagram, can I make a question to the audience? We didn't talk too much about Instagrams, at least where I was during these 2 days. Are you guys seeing false news in Instagram, and how does it look like? Could anyone comment on that? I mean, are you getting false information in Instagram? Is it images? Is it photos? Is it claims? Who is posting false information in Instagram? Can anyone comment on that? Or you're not seeing false information in Instagram? No? Giovanni goes, no. Really? Hey, well, Facebook, be happy.
During the election period.
Yeah, tell me.
During the election
period. Somebody's here. Yeah. We'll go back to you.
Sorry, so I work for AFP in India. So during elections in India, so most of the posts that you see on WhatsApp and Facebook, they also come on Instagram. So specifically on Instagram, you don't see a fake news or a disinformation post. But yeah, I mean, whatever is there on Facebook or WhatsApp, they somehow appears on Instagram stories as well, or on the Instagram post.
But they are more beautiful.
I mean,
not really.
With captions as well. I mean, so they have
and
the
with videos
captions.
from Hana. Do they have the cool videos from Hana too? No. Yeah, go.
Yeah. A lot of the misinformation in Instagram during the election is actually people just screen capturing everything and post it to Instagram. So you have like misinformation circulating in WhatsApp, people will screen capture it and post it on Instagram. In Facebook also, they just, they capture and post, and it's really, it's not visually good, but I don't know, somehow, because in Indonesia, there's this trend that you might have heard of buzzers, political buzzers, who have troll army, and they bring all of the followers from Twitter to Instagram. So like they're everywhere. They have a lot of followers, which they paid for, actually. So yeah, it does spread in Instagram. Everything that's spread on Twitter and WhatsApp, it's spread in Instagram also.
Yeah, I think the practice yeah, it changed it. Okay. So I think the practice in Nigeria, what I've seen is sometimes you have news websites who publish fake news. So they open accounts on Instagram and they upload pictures, especially when it's related to politics. And when they upload those pictures, they put in a wrong context. So you have a picture of the president meeting with someone and they write something entirely different. And it's so unfortunate because you have people following them. And for the fact that these days you have a lot of blogs and microsites having a lot of followership on Instagram. So you also have fake websites having Instagram pages and they are uploading things and people are following them.
You're right. Right here. When you're showing the Lumen, is that how you say it?
Lumen 5.
Lumen 5, yeah. I was thinking that it's going to be so easy for us to do those videos, but it's also going to be very easy for fake news producers to do their videos. Are we about to have a video fight? And is it going to be a YouTube's problem?
No, I don't think it's going to be a YouTube problem or there will be a video fight. Usually that is if you have the fake guys publishing their video and you have the credible guys publishing their video. Usually people would believe what they read from fact checkers. And apart from publishing the video, one other thing that we also need to do is you make sure the video go viral. If you have to boost them on Facebook, if you have to dedicate an additional budget to ensure that the video goes to a lot of places, I think that will really work. So it's not just publishing and dumping it because you could have competition from the bad guys who are trying to misinform the public.
What I'm saying, I'm not sure if I made myself clear. The video that you get out of that is quite simple, right?
Yeah.
And it should be, and I'm glad there is a tool for that. But it looks as simple as those made by false news producers, right? It's just a photo of sentence, and you could, instead of saying it's false, 2 + 2 is not 5, you could say 2 + 2 is 5. And you could have the same video using the same tool. So we would be using, and sometimes I have the feeling that the tools are out there, and good guys and bad guys are using them the same way. So what would be the next step for us to differentiate ourselves from, because the tool could be bought and used by anyone, right?
Yes. Yes.
What would be your saying on
anyone can
this?
use the tools, and I think basically if you have your logo display on the video as a news organization, people should take it serious. But they should take it more serious than from the one that comes with a faceless organization trying to just swindle people.
Oh, well, I think it's like a common also happen like in article writing, because we are the good guy write article, but the bad guys also write articles. So in the end, it's about credibility. And as fact checkers, I think we should have more credibility, and it's just a way of how we can reach to more audience, so that they are not they're not beating us down in that part.
So reach is your topic, right? You were looking for more people. But when you look for more people and you reach more people, don't you get some weird reaction? Like you find different audience and you don't know what to expect, right? I know you made that map, you knew people around, but you're not sure how they look like, what they like to read, or don't you get like funny and weird reactions? No?
I feel like all of us have gotten the email from like the crank, and it's just, where is that coming from? So we get some of that, but I don't think, since we've built these partnerships with TV and radio, I don't think we've gotten more or less. It's just kind of, you get your, 1 or 2 emails a week from the crazy person. And that's about it, yeah.
Do you have any rates? Like I sent out 100 emails, and how many people said take me out of your list? Do you have that rate?
So we send the email newsletter only to news directors. It's not to the general public. I think we've maybe had like 5 people out of the 200 or 300 people we have on that list unsubscribe. So people love what we're sending them. Even people who don't pick it up, they like to stay informed with what's going on in the fact-checking world. They actually look to our fact checks and use them in their articles, even when they're not republishing the fact checks. So I think fact checking is really important because it forms a basis of evidence that other journalists may use, even if they're not doing fact checking. So I found that to be true as well for my work.
And are these people willing to pay?
We're supported by grants, so we don't charge for this.
I know, but that would be like step 2.
I think, yeah, it could be step 2. I think the question is, one, how do you expand it to a point where like every state in the U.S. or whatever country we're talking about has this service? Maybe at that point you could start charging people. I don't think the scale is there yet, but potentially it could be a source of funding. Yeah.
Any questions? Or do we have some time for coffee and go outside, take some pictures, and post on Instagram? Please. You have one? Okay, sorry.
Josh, I was just thinking about your kind of, when you're working with TV folk or you're working with newspapers, do they repurpose the content that you've already produced? So are they getting you to kind of create packages or be interviewed or write articles? Or are they just taking something that you've got online and then reworking it into whatever shape that they kind of fancy? So who's kind of doing the journalistic bit on top of what you've already fact-checked?
So think of it almost like a newswire service that we're doing. So we have a fact checker funded through grants, trained by PolitiFact. He writes the fact check. It's, full article, and I send out the article as part of a newsletter. They can also go to the website, and all they do is copy and paste it into their CMS. They'll have like maybe a little blurb at the bottom with credit for a writer, and anybody can use it. So, yeah, it's pretty simple.